a defender after transferring in from Arizona State University. The Romeoville High School product is seeking his degree in recreation and sport management. Ladies and gentlemen, number 9, Carson Churchill. Number 12, Louis Egizio. And his parents, Michael Egizio and Kathy Ferrante Egizio. Louis has been a Saint all 4 years of his collegiate career after graduating from Joliet West High School. A midfielder since arriving at USF, he is majoring in finance. Ladies and gentlemen, number 12, Louis Egizio. Number 24, Eric Guzman. And his parents, Sonia and Santiago Guzman. During his 4 seasons as a Saint, Eric has been both a 2-time NAIA Scholar Athlete and an academic all-conference selection. A double major in psychology and substance abuse counseling, he has appeared in 13 games as a Saint, with 2 starts over his 4-year career as both a defender and midfielder. Ladies and gentlemen, number 24, Eric Guzman. Number 29, Michael O'Shea. And his parents, Mike Kerkamp O'Shea and Bridget Kerkamp, and his sister, Kelly Kerkamp. Michael joined the program 4 years ago out of Joliet West High School. Since that time, he has been a defender in the program. Michael is a special education major. Ladies and gentlemen, number 29, Michael O'Shea. Number 13, Nathan Sharp. And his parents, Brian and Gina Sharp. Nathan joined the program 2 years ago after transferring in from the University of Kentucky. As a Saint, he has appeared in 24 games with 5 starts over his 2 seasons. He has also been credited with 1 assist. Nathan is finishing up his degree in finance and will graduate in the spring. Ladies and gentlemen, number 13, Nathan Sharp. Number 29, Carlos Garcia Martinez. And his uncle, Jorge Martinez. A transfer from Governor State University, Carlos has been a goalkeeper in the program each of the past 2 years. A product of Bolingbrook High School, he is majoring in economics. Ladies and gentlemen, number 29, Carlos Garcia Martinez. One more time, let's give a round of applause to our 7 seniors and their family and friends. Number 16, Sergio Fernandez Arango. Number 9, Carson Churchill. Number 12, Louis Egizio. Number 29, Carlos Garcia Martinez. Number 24, Eric Guzman. Number 29, Michael O'Shea. And number 13, Nathan Sharp. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Busey Bank Field at Joliet Memorial Stadium for this evening's Chicagoland Collegiate Athletic Conference matchup between the Cougars of St. Xavier University and your St. Francis Fighting Saints. Due to technical difficulties, there will be no playing of the national anthem tonight. At this time, let's introduce tonight's starting lineups first for the visiting Cougars. Number 4, Diego Garcia. Number 7, Jaden Aguilera. Number 8, Francisco Espinoza. Number 10, Saul Lagunas. Number 11, Christian Tamayo. Number 16, Mark Vitali Houle. Number 17, Omar Aparicio. Number 21, Jesse Cargiel. Number 23, Yael Diaz. Number 25, Sebastian Palma. And in goal for the Cougars, wearing the 00, Daniel Martinez. And now the starting lineup for your Fighting Saints. First up, number 3, Jensen Eve. Number 8, Max Gaudry. Number 10, Bruno Silva. Number 11, Juan Jimenez. Number 16, Sergio Fernandez Arango. Number 18, Jack Brown. Number 21, Roger Valles. Number 22, Benicio Gamino. Number 32, William Morrell. Number 38, Austin Delazay. And in goal for the Fighting Saints, wearing the number 1, Merlin Vanderveen. Your Fighting Saints are coached by Nigel Dillard.
Good evening from Joliet, Illinois, and welcome to today's CCAC soccer matchup between the visiting Cougars of St. Xavier University and the Fighting Saints of St. Francis, the hosts of tonight's game, who are closing up their home season and looking to do so with a big victory over a St. Xavier team that comes in riding a 3-game winning streak. They've gotten at least 1 point in each of their last 6 games consecutively, so the Fighting Saints will no doubt have their hands full tonight. We'll see if St. Francis is up to the task. They're on the field wearing gold, going from right to left, shooting into the north goal for the first half today. St. Xavier's in all red, going from left to right, and they're going into the south goal. Terry Bonadonna with you on the play-by-play for today's game as we get this thing underway. St. Francis, the home team, takes the opening kick, and they push it back to the defensive side. Merlin Vanderveen, the freshman goalkeeper, gets his first touch, rolls it off to his right. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Fighting Saints today. Jensen Eve, Max Gaudry, Bruno Silva, Juan Jimenez, Sergio Fernandez Arango, Jack Brown, Roger Valles, Benicio Gamino, William Morrell, and Austin Delazay play along with their goalkeeper Merlin Vanderveen. I'll give you his numbers in just a moment. Free kick coming up for St. Xavier over on the far side of the field near the sideline. They position everybody close to the box as the kick is taken by Yael Diaz, quickly cleared by St. Francis, so no trouble off the free kick. Cougars will try for a second attack. Diego Garcia rolls it to his right, has it taken away by Max Gaudry. A good challenge by the Fighting Saints, but immediately taken back by Omar Aparicio. starters for St. Xavier today, and their head coach, Ed Vucinic, who's been around for 22 years now in the top spot for the Cougars. Diego Garcia, Jaden Aguilera, Francisco Espinoza, Saul Lagunas, Christian Tamayo, Mark Vitali Hull, Omar Aparicio, Jesse Cardiel, Yael Diaz, and Sebastian Palma line up in front of their goalkeeper, Daniel Martinez, senior out of Morton East High School, and one of the best that the CCAC has to offer. We'll see if the Saints can challenge him early, coming through the box. We've got offsides called. Benicio Gamino broke through, but he did so a little bit too quickly. So the offsides flag went up before he could even get to the ball, and St. Xavier will get a free kick. Merlin Vanderveen for the Fighting Saints is playing his 7th game of the year. He's been splitting time with Elio De Janeiro. Vanderveen has allowed 18 goals this year. He's made 26 saves, a .591 save percentage. He's allowed 3.68 goals per contest. He has not been challenged yet in today's game, but that could change right here. Nice job by Sergio Fernandez Arango poking the ball away and preventing the Cougars from getting the ball towards the goalkeeper, Vanderveen. Daniel Martinez in net for St. Xavier. As I mentioned, he's one of the best in the conference. 13 games played. He's got 4 total shutouts. .904 is his save percentage. He's allowed only 8 goals all season and made 75 saves, a 0.66 goals allowed average. Really impressive stuff this year from Martinez. And St. Francis is going to try to put a few in on him anyway. A team that has, by and large this year, struggled to get shots off. They did score a goal against Judson in a game they lost this weekend. Knocked towards the sideline, out of bounds. It's a throw in for St. Xavier. They lost to Judson on Saturday by a 6-1 final. But the Eagles have been the best offensive team in the conference, so just getting 1 goal on them. And we're not talking about the Saints' defense right now, which obviously didn't do what they wanted it to in that game. Just from an offensive perspective, they were able to build a little confidence on that performance. Christian Tamayo takes a shot for the Cougars, and it sails high over the net, out of bounds for a goal kick. So now they'll try to put one in against St. Xavier. No small task. Cougars have not allowed a goal in the month of October. 5 consecutive shutouts for St. Xavier. 4 of those have been wins. The game against Judson ended in a 0-0 draw. So St. Francis is trying today to become the first team to score against St. Xavier in their last 6 games. Free kick here for the Cougars as another foul is called on the Fighting Saints. Just about 5 minutes into the game. No score just yet. When St. Francis scored that goal on Saturday against Judson, again, that was against a Judson team that had been on a great run. Just not a whole lot of goals allowed. They had shutouts in 5 of their last 6 games. Actually, 6 of their last 7 games. So going up against a St. Xavier team today that has 5 straight shutouts is nothing out of the ordinary for the Fighting Saints. They've been there and done that. Again, they lost the game on Saturday. It was not a close game. But we're just talking about offense right now. And they're trying to generate offense into the box. It's cleared by St. Xavier. Cougars come in with a 5-1-1 conference record near the top of the table. St. Francis is fighting to hold on to the 8th spot in the CCAC, trying to guarantee themselves a spot in the conference tournament a couple of weeks from now. They're 2-5. Those 2 wins came back-to-back. They were both home games, September 30th and October 4th. They beat Calumet College of St. Joe's and Governors State by a combined 12-2. But 3 straight losses since then. Merlin Vanderveen has it. Rolls it to his left. It's Jack Brown, the freshman captain from Cyprus, who gives it back to Merlin Vanderveen, allowing St. Francis to slow things down as they get themselves in position. Just trying to keep it away from the Cougars right now, back on the defensive end. Vanderveen gives it a big kick down the far sideline, headed by Jensen Eve across midfield, but immediately sent back the other way by the Cougars and out of bounds. Throw in for Jensen Eve. And Eve's throw is deflected right back to the sideline by Jesse Cardiel. Saints advance about 10 yards, and they'll throw it in again. Fired in this time cleanly to Roger Valles. Valles is unable to maintain possession. Cougars take control. Coming across to the near side, it's Christian Tamayo. Tamayo had the best scoring chance of anybody so far today. We'll see if that changes with Diego Garcia passing it in front of the net. Couple of dribbles from Lagunas, and he loses the ball, trying to pass it off to Mark Vitali Hull, but wasn't able to get a clean pass. And the Fighting Saints come up with a stop on what looked very promising from St. Xavier for a moment. Did not end that way. Saints clear it towards the sideline and out of bounds. Throw-in coming up for the Cougars on the final home date of the season for St. Francis. They've got 2 games remaining, both on the road over the next week. They wrap things up next Tuesday night, and then hoping the season continues in the CCAC tournament, but if it does, it will not be here. It'll be on the road. Free kick for the Saints. They go short. In fact, they go backwards with it, setting up the goalkeeper Vanderveen. It's a chilly night here in Joliet. Not cold, a little cooler than average. Low 50s throughout the day today. Jaden Aguilera sets it up. Aguilera takes a dribble, passes, off for the shot. Vanderveen's able to make the save. And Saul Lagunas comes up empty on his attempt. Vanderveen makes his first save of the evening. Still scoreless. Almost 9 minutes into today's game. William Morel passes to his right. Fernandez Orango, one of 7 seniors honored before today's game on senior night, passes ahead. Fernandez Orango was one of 7 seniors who was recognized. He's the only one in the starting lineup. And in fact, is the only one of the 7 who has gotten consistent playing time this year. It's a young team that St. Francis has. They start several freshmen typically. Today is no exception. 4 freshmen in the starting lineup today, a couple of sophomores as well. Just the one senior as the shot goes wide off the foot of Jaden Aguilera. Aguilera got in close and just missed it. Wide to the right, a little bit off the post on the right side. Vanderveen dove for it, didn't deflect it. And so as it went out of bounds, it is a free kick for St. Francis. They've already taken it, so as Vanderveen positions the ball after the goal kick was already taken, St. Xavier does apply a little pressure. And now the Saints have to move a little bit more quickly. They do. Going ahead towards Bruno Silva. The ball never reaches Silva. From the midfield, they try it again. Lifted up to Benicio Gamino. Gamino passes back. Gaudry has it tackled away from him by Vitali Hull and out of bounds. St. Xavier gets the throw. No score, just 10.5 minutes in. St. Xavier had the best scoring chance just moments ago. They've had the best couple of scoring chances in this game. Neither team yet has been able to put one through. One save thus far for Merlin Vanderveen. That one save is maybe the least scary of any of the Cougars' 3 shots. The other 2 looked a lot better. They just were a little bit off mark. Whereas the one that was on goal was kind of a softball right into Vanderveen's hands. Francisco Espinosa's pass is deflected, but still finds a teammate in red. And the Cougars are taking their time coming up from the defensive line. Passed off towards the near sideline, Christian Tamayo. Tamayo makes a move around Benicio Gamino and keeps the play alive with a pass. Nice challenge on that last pass from Austin Delazay. Delazay was able to come up with a stop. It is out of bounds off the Saints. Cougars throw it into the box. There's a shot, a nice save by Vanderveen. Rebound is too high and out of bounds. First shot was from Saul Lagunas, and Vanderveen made a good save. Second shot came from Vitaly Hull, and Hull had a much cleaner look at the net because off the ricochet from Vanderveen's first save, it went to the back post. Nobody was covering the back post because Vanderveen was too busy blocking the shot on the near side. And so it was a relatively open net for Vitaly Hull. But still, he was not able to push it through. And we remain scoreless. Some close calls lately for St. Francis. St. Xavier's trying to give him another one. Into the box. Stepping up, Vanderveen is able to get on top of that ball. Once again, no harm done. Vitaly Hull made a good run. Maybe a little bit too good. Quick on the dribble, and so Vanderveen was able to slide up and scoop the ball away from him before he could get a shot off. Saints looking to counter. Here's Bruno Silva running into three defenders. Silva will have to slow things down. He's got one man now in front of him, Roger Valles, but before he can get the ball to him, he loses it out of bounds. Throw in for St. Xavier. Cougars have outshot the Saints so far today, 5-0. Vanderveen's had to make a couple of saves already. This is not one, as he does let the ball come to rest gently next to his feet. Vanderveen's got a couple of saves. He's gotten a couple of close shaves on balls that he didn't save. But despite the early pressure from St. Xavier, no damage done on the scoreboard. Trying to roll it ahead. It's taken away by the Cougars. Fernandez Arango knocks it back to Vanderveen. As Vanderveen is pressured, he immediately pushes it away. Tussle for the ball in the middle of the field. Battle won by St. Xavier. Sent into the box. Vanderveen steps up and intercepts what looked like a cross. Trying to find the head of Jaden Aguilera, who's been aggressive so far. Aguilera among the conference's leaders with 38 shots taken coming into today. He's also the team's leading goal scorer with 8 of them. He's also the team's leading assister with 4. Sent ahead, and Gamino's offsides. So off the offsides call, St. Xavier gets a free kick. More than 15 minutes have been played now. No score. St. Francis trying to beat St. Xavier for the first time in 5 years. Cougars are coming off of their worst season in a couple of decades. Last year they finished with just 3 wins in Ed Vucinic's 21st year. It was his first year, or worst year, I should say. His 21st year, not his first, but it was his worst year as coach of St. Xavier. And he has rebounded nicely, as the Cougars have as a team. 10 wins already this season. 5 conference wins. Still, they've got a lot to play for in this one as Delazay tries to work his way up the sideline. To the far side, still in the Saints' control. Ball sent forward in the direction of Silva, but it's intercepted. The Cougars take over. As I was saying, the Cougars have a lot to play for today. Even though they could lose the rest of their games, you'd still call it a successful season. 10 wins overall. Winning conference record already in the bag. but they've got bigger fish to fry right now. Coming into today's game with 16 points in the conference standings, they are still technically in the running for a conference championship. Whistle blows and a foul is called. That's on St. Francis, so the Cougars will get a free kick here. Olivet Nazarene is unbeaten in conference play. Free kick is headed away from the box by the Saints. Cougars get it back. It's Tamayo passing to Sebastian Palma. Palma, the defender, launches it across the field. Back into the box towards the back line, and a good slide tackle made by Sergio Fernandez Arango to send it out of bounds along the sideline. Saints know all too well how good Olivet's been this year. Headed in the box by Diego Garcia. Can the Saints clear it? Yes, they can, with a little help from some aggressive offense from St. Xavier. Foul is called on the Cougars. We got a free kick here. Saints saw Olivet in Bourbonnais back in late September and lost it 8-0. St. Xavier still has to play Olivet Nazarene, which means they do have a chance to win the conference. But they need to win out and get a little help. Their own game against Olivet's not going to be enough for them. Foul called again on the Cougars, this one right at midfield. So the Saints are advancing about 60 yards at a time. Back-to-back fouls called. Clock stops at 27:06. But the injured player is back up. Bruno Silva appears to be just fine. And the free kick will be taken by Max Gaudry. Gaudry can't get Gamino, headed away instead, but right back to the team in yellow. Off to the near side. And passed loose by St. Xavier out of bounds. Throw in for the Saints. Toss to Gaudry. Gaudry working a two-man game with I didn't see who it was, but they've lost the ball now. Passed down the field and out of bounds. It was with Jimenez. He and Gaudry were exchanging passes. Saints have it back on defense now. Jack Brown gives it to Vanderveen. Merlin Vanderveen's had a busy first half. Not something you ever like to hear when you're a goalkeeper, but he hasn't given up any goals. That is something you like to hear. And anyway, on a cold day like this, you want to keep moving as much as possible. Vanderveen's had to do a lot more of that than Martinez has. Fight for the ball. Francisco Espinoza working against Max Gaudry, and the Saints finally come away with it. Pushed ahead to Gamino. Gamino out ahead of the pack. Trying to beat one defender. Takes a dribble to the right. A shot off the crossbar, and it's picked up on a bounce by Daniel Martinez. Just missed going in. That was inches off the mark. And now the Cougars in response get a shot from Jaden Aguilera and a save made by Vanderveen. Good setup by Benicio Gamino. Back on the other end of the field. Couldn't have come much closer than that. Hit off the bottom of the crossbar, bounced off the ground, and then was picked up by Daniel Martinez. And then St. Xavier didn't rest. They went right back at it. Quickly flying down to the other end of the field and nearly turning it into a goal for themselves, but Vanderveen's able to make his third save of the night. Christian Tamayo passes into the middle of the field. Gaudry is trying to chase the ball down. Diego Garcia. Swarmed by defenders. The loose ball deflects over to Francisco Espinoza. To his left. Into the box. Couple of moves. Vanderveen steps up. And Vanderveen is able to roll over the top of that one. Ball, I think, stayed in bounds. Got an injured man for St. Francis. Clock stops at 24:23. Jack Brown is the man down along that back line. Diego Garcia was making a move towards the net. Brown got involved on the play. A couple of other Saints were in there as well. Merlin Vanderveen jumped in as well. The ball in the box wanted to prevent Garcia or any other Cougar from getting a shot off. And I think a few guys just got tangled up with one another. Brown is the man who went down, and he still is down there, but sitting up a little bit before rolling back over. He is going to be helped to his feet. Brown will be walked off the field. Dylan Frank is coming in place of him. Brown getting a significant amount of help as he walks towards the sideline, not putting a lot of weight on either leg right now, so hopefully he's all right. Not a great sign as he walks off in terms of his ability to come back today, but we'll see. It did go out of bounds off of St. Francis in the end on that play, so after all of that, we will have a corner kick from St. Xavier, and Jaden Aguilera will be the man to take it. Frank is the man in for Brown following the injury. Now the corner kick to the front post, deflected and cleared by the Fighting Saints. Bruno Silva works against Jesse Cardiel. Cardiel is able to spin away and initially take control, but Gamino comes out with it, passes it ahead for Jimenez, and Jimenez can't chase it down. It gets to Daniel Martinez first, and the keeper sends it away. Roger Val is on the far sideline, has the ball tackled away from him. Pass into the middle of the field is deflected. Saints clear it, but right out to Christian Tamayo. Yael Diaz passes to his left near the sideline. Rolled forward to Francisco Espinoza. Good challenge from the Fighting Saints. Gaudry knocks it free. Cougars will try again. Gaudry again has a nice tackle. And Max Gaudry is able to come away with back-to-back steals. Saints aren't able to go anywhere on that possession, but at least the fact that they took the possession at all was good for them. They were able to slow down the Cougars' momentum for a bit. Cougars will try it again. St. Xavier has certainly created more opportunities for themselves so far in this game, halfway through this first half. But despite those opportunities, score is the same on both sides. Merlin Vanderveen has played well in net. A guy who saves just over 50% of the shots against him all year has been much sharper than that today. The Fighting Saints actually had the closest call as far as scoring a goal. Gaudry tries to get around a few defenders, taps it off to his right. It was the shot from Gamino a few minutes back. Would have been Benicio Gamino's second goal of the year if it had gone. Here comes Delazé. Delazé runs right into a pair of defenders. Nowhere to go with the ball. And the Fighting Saints lose it. Whistle blows. That one deflected off the official. Cougars will get a free kick. Across the midfield stripe, it's Lagunas. Lagunas turns to his right to motor by the St. Francis defender. Frank is able to step up to clear it. Right down the middle of the field. Lagunas passes back. Off the head of Frank. Lost his headband on the play. He's able to track it down, though, and stay in the game, stay in the play. Saints try to make some offense here, but they have nowhere to go. Good tackle by the Cougars. And they likewise are not able to turn it into any offense. We've not seen any offense today. 0-0. We have no score with 20 minutes and 40 seconds or so remaining in the first half. Into the midfield circle, Espinoza. Francisco Espinoza sends a deep one down the far sideline. Dribbled in the box, and Vitaly Hul is unable to finish that pass, looking to set up a teammate for a shot. No such thing coming for St. Xavier. They try it on this possession now. All set up for Saul Lagunas, and Lagunas can't get around the last defender. Pass to him by Christian Tamayo. The Saints were ready for him. Cougars haven't been able to get close in a while. After a steady stream of early shots, not much lately. Pushed into the box. Chance for Vanderveen as he lets it go, and wisely so, as Jesse Cardiel is unable to catch it. Cardiel, on a dead sprint, tried to reach that ball and get a shot off, but couldn't get to it before it rolled out the back line, so it's a goal kick instead for St. Francis with just about 19 minutes to play in the first half. Gaudry into the middle of the field. I think he was trying to find Armani Lagunas there, but no such luck as that cross airmails everybody, rolls into the back corner and out of bounds. That was on the sideline. So it's a throw in for St. Francis, not a goal kick, even though it went out just in the corner. Kick towards the back line, and this time it is out for a goal kick. No score. St. Francis and St. Xavier. Good defensive tussle so far today. There was a good chance coming in that it might be. In particular, based on St. Xavier's statistics this year. They don't give up a lot of goals. They don't score a ton. They've had a few good goal-scoring games, but by and large, they're okay offensively. Nothing to write home about. Their defense is worth writing home about. Just 4 goals allowed in conference play so far this year. And they haven't given up any goals to anyone in almost a month. 5 straight games. Long ball bounces in front of Silva and cleared by the Cougars across midfield. Long run up for Merlin Vanderveen, and Vanderveen a good 10 yards out of the box. Clears it for the Saints, and a foul is called on St. Francis now. Jaden Aguilera hit the ground after that last challenge, setting up a free kick. It goes short to Lagunas. Into the box, not from Lagunas, but from Omar Aparicio. Deflected. Playing the same old game here. Cougars try to work it close to the net. Saints bow up, don't allow anything inside the box as that rolls into the box, and as has been the case, no red shirts there. Saints have been a little bit too intimidating in tight. It hasn't been total domination by any means. In fact, the best scoring chance that either team has had was St. Francis. A ball that Gamino hit off the crossbar. This is Benicio Gamino again. This time setting something up with more defense back and present. William Morrell passes off to Lagunas. Over to his right. Into the box and cleared. Quick throw in. Cougars are on the move. That's a good ball. Everybody stays on sides. Jaden Aguilera gets around one defender, passes through the legs of another. But that's all. No shot. Still no score. Coming up on the final hour of play today. Mark Vitale-Hull pushes it forward, nearly intercepted. And now the two red shirts down there are going at it to try to keep it alive. It was Vitale-Hull and Diego Garcia. And in the process, the ball goes out of bounds on SXU. Subs are in for both sides. Back to the throw-in. Foul is going to be called here on the Fighting Saints. That's on Max Gaudry, and another whistle after the play, as Gaudry was not giving a lot of space for Francisco Espinoza to get himself sped up. No call on that last whistle, just trying to regain order here. So the Saints do come up with a stop. They've got the ball again. Rolled down the near sideline. It's Diego Garcia looking for help on the cross. Garcia gets around a defender. Garcia right in front of the net, poked away. Still alive on the back line, and now finally knocked out of bounds. And after a few deflections, the final call is that it was last touched by St. Francis. Goes in short for the Cougars. Off of Aguilera's face, and now he flips over a St. Francis defender. Aguilera is called for the foul, as Gaudry looked like he was in pretty good position there. So Aguilera flipped over him, but Gaudry was just kind of minding his own business. Aguilera didn't take the best angle at that ball. He couldn't believe that the foul had been called on him because he was the guy who flipped over. But again, I don't know what Gaudry could have done any differently than he did. No matter for the Cougars, as the Saints aren't able to make anything happen out of that free kick. They've lost possession already. Possession has been dominated by St. Xavier so far. There's a high ball. Lands on the attacking side of the field for St. Francis, and they got a foul called. Aiden Breslin dragged the Saint to the ground. Free kick coming up. Kick is taken right in front of the box, headed high in the air by Gamino. It bounces once and then nestles softly into the hands of Daniel Martinez. Martinez hasn't been challenged in this first half as much as Vanderveen has, but when they have put a little pressure on him, he's handled it well. Nothing allowed so far. Subs coming on for both teams. Looks like Jonathan Mendez is making an appearance for the Fighting Saints. Gamino heads out. A couple other guys came in there as well. Rodrigo Hernandez on for the Cougars. It's Pierre Langenhusen, who also just checked in for St. Francis. First one to touch it after the throw-in. Gaudry now in possession. Tried to get around one defender to no avail. Cleared by the Cougars across midfield. Morel steps up, pushes it forward. Far side, long run. Antoine Esparza, and Esparza can't keep it in bounds. Big kick for St. Xavier. On a bounce, it finds its way into the box. Van der Veen hasn't been tasked with making a really difficult save yet. But everything he has been asked to do, he's passed each test with flying colors. Still got a shutout going here as we start to get late into the first half. Closing in on our final 10 minutes of play before the break. There's a whistle. There's a man down for St. Xavier. I didn't even see him on the far side of the field. Man down right now is Saul Lagunas. It looks like a yellow card has been given to St. Francis. That Aaron Razzo, I think. Razzo, who just recently checked into the game, appears to have been given a yellow card. 10-10 on the clock. So a free kick for St. Xavier, 40 yards out. Kick comes in front of the net and knocked clean away by William Morel to the sideline, but it stays in bounds. And that allows the Saints to push it a little bit further down the field. Ahead to Pierre Langenhusen, who also keeps it in bounds, but I don't know, maybe he shouldn't have. Cougars come away with possession. Out on St. Xavier. USF gets the throw. Headed into the middle of the field. Jonathan Mendez pushes it ahead for St. Francis. Not a lot of the game so far today has been played on that side of the field. We've directed our attention to the right most of the time. A foul called on the Saints. Another free kick for St. Xavier. This one about 10 yards further back than the last one. Last one didn't end up going anywhere for them. We'll see if that's different this time around. Rodrigo Hernandez with two defenders on him into the corner and out of bounds on the Saints. Quick throw to Espinoza. Morel knocks it out this time. The Cougars have been down on this end for a while. We'll see if they can mount a real attack. I haven't seen it yet. 4 defenders surrounded the ball there. Espinoza finally gives it up. Passes off to Saul Camacho. St. Xavier goes all the way back to the defensive line, just on the wrong side of midfield. They push forward again, down into the corner. Looking for a pass, is deflected, stays in play, and eventually does go out of bounds, but along the sidelines. We get a throw in, not a goal kick. Off towards the sideline. Cardiel looking for a shot. Nice defense. Austin Delaze jumps in front of it. Delaze got his foot on that ball before deflecting it out of bounds. So a good defensive play, but it does lead to a corner kick. Opportunity here for St. Xavier from the near corner. Kick zooms past everybody and straight out of bounds. This time it'll be a goal kick. Goal kick for St. Francis. Tied with St. Xavier, 0-0. Cougars came into play today with 16 points on the conference season. Saints have 6. A win today would pretty much guarantee them a spot in the conference tournament in a couple of weeks. A little too nifty on the ball work. Antoine Esparza nearly lost it there. Still keeps things alive going into the corner. The ball stays in bounds, but Esparza never was able to find a teammate to help him out. So he coughs it up. 6.5 minutes to play in the half. No score. Here comes Jonathan Mendez. Mendez dribbles to the back line, looking for the cross, finally sends it away, and it's batted back to him. Another chance for the Saints. Gaudry, one hop towards the net and out of bounds. Tried to get Esparza making the run on the back end of that play, but Esparza couldn't reach it. Getting late in the first half. We still have another 45 minutes after this first half ends, so plenty of time for either or both of these teams to score. I think the Fighting Saints are still scratching their heads a little bit about that goal a little bit earlier that wasn't. They just missed scoring, deflected one off the crossbar, missed by inches. That would have been the difference in the game. Instead, there is no difference. Cougars have outplayed the Saints overall, but it doesn't show up on the scoreboard as the Fighting Saints are called for a foul. And before the free kick, the clock will wind down under 5 minutes. Cougars go short with it. Just back and forth at the midfield, and now making a move. Back in the game, it's Jaden Aguilera passing it off. Nothing doing yet for the Cougars, but they haven't coughed it up yet either. That's deflected out of bounds. Good play by Mendez. Or Esparza, rather. Good play by Esparza. Good play by Mendez, too, I suppose, just in the fact that he wasn't there. Esparza is going to make a good play. Everybody else just get out of the way, and we're good. Man down for St. Xavier. We play on for now. Jesse Cardiel's pass finds its way to Saul Lagunas. Lagunas is fouled. Aguilera is down for St. Xavier. He's resting on his head and left shoulder at the moment. Play has not been stopped, and finally he gets up and walks it off. Doesn't look to be feeling anything. Free kick will be taken by Francisco Espinoza. Espinoza sends it right to the middle, headed away. There's a shot, and it's well high. And out of play from Irving Moreno. So a goal kick coming up for St. Francis. Coming up on the final 3 minutes of the first half. Chances for both teams. Nothing has come through yet. Merlin Vanderveen's got an impressive shutout going so far. He's had to make a few nifty saves. Might have to make another one right here as Aguilera has a good run into the box. Tapped back. There's a shot, and it's a good save from Vanderveen. Ricocheted back to Aguilera. He's going to try again, and it's deflected out of bounds. First shot came from Irving Moreno. Moreno was looking for his second goal of the year. And a great save by Vanderveen, lunging to his right. It was deflected right back to Jaden Aguilera. And Aguilera was not able to get a clean look at the net. Too many yellow shirts in front of him. And so he was stopped. Now we'll get a corner kick eventually. Neither a ball nor a player is down there. There's a ball down there. No players down there. The Cougars are taking their time to get it set up. Saul Lagunas is the man who's going to do it. Another good save made by Vanderveen, and now the Cougars will get one more chance to put one in past them. Ball is positioned. Everybody's ready to go. Here comes the corner kick. Quick header and immediately cleared by St. Francis. Well defended. No chance for the Cougars there. They'll take another shot at it. Into the box and knocked down by Vanderveen. Merlin Vanderveen makes the stop, and as we come up on our final minute, St. Francis will try to take one more push here. They haven't had a lot of them so far in this game. Mostly it's been St. Xavier controlling possession. St. Francis, when they have had their few opportunities, they've generally come on quick strikes. There's time for that right now. Not so much time for one of the long drawn-out possessions that we've seen from St. Xavier that haven't always led to shots. Lagunas passes it ahead to Aguilera. Good pass from Aguilera. The ball is tripped up in the box and cleared. Aguilera was trying to get it to Saul Camacho, and it was a good ball to him. Defenders in the area, though. Camacho ended up getting knocked off the ball. Aguilera's knocked off the ball there with Sergio Fernandez Arango. Two of them got tangled up. Ball is right at the midfield circle as we come down to the closing seconds of the half. Does St. Francis have time for one more push towards the net before halftime? They're not going to get one. Ball a little bit too far out in front of Pierre Langenhusen, and that's how the first half ends. No score after 45 minutes. Good game of soccer so far. St. Francis trying to snap a 3-game losing streak, pick up their first win since early in the month of October. St. Xavier is looking to win their 4th in a row and get their 7th consecutive result, but they'll have work to do offensively in the second half as neither team is able to find the scoreboard in the first. 45 minutes down, 45 still in front of us. 0-0. St. Francis and St. Xavier in the home finale for the Fighting Saints. We'll be back in about 15 minutes with half number 2. The second half is underway here in Joliet. St. Francis and St. Xavier are knotted up at 0 after the first 45 minutes of play. St. Xavier going from right to left now. Trying to make a move towards the net. Going to look at the first half stats. Second half started a little early. They didn't wait for the clock to run down to 0, so they played the first 20 seconds or so without the clock running. So we are officially just about 20 seconds into the start of half number 2. St. Xavier takes it away from the Fighting Saints, moving from right to left. Jaden Aguilera works his way into the box, takes the shot, and just misses wide to the left. Fast start for the Cougars. Not able to come through on that. That was actually Diego Garcia who took the shot. That's the 14th shot of the game for St. Xavier. Saints have only taken 1. So in a lot of ways, this game has been dominated by the Cougars, but in the most important way, we're dead even. 14 shots to 1, shots on goal 6-0 in favor of St. Xavier. So Merlin Vanderveen has made 6 saves so far today. Saints will have a chance right here. The shot goes just over the net and out of bounds. Just the second shot taken by the Fighting Saints today. That one was Bruno Silva. The 2 shots that they've taken, though, have been awfully close. The one in the first half, again, they only had 1 compared to 13 for St. Xavier, but the 1 shot for St. Francis was much closer than any of the 13 for St. Xavier. Benicio Gamino just missed one off the crossbar. We got an injury very quickly here. Man down for St. Francis is Benicio Gamino. Gamino's up. He's all right. Free kick coming up for the Fighting Saints. First half, we saw 12 fouls on the Fighting Saints, 6 fouls called against the Cougars. 1 yellow card was given to St. Francis. There were 2 offsides called against the Saints, none against the Cougars. 3 corner kicks for St. Xavier. St. Francis didn't have any. Back into the box, another chance for the Fighting Saints, and it's a little bit wide off to the right side. Ball stays in bounds, and now it is tackled out by the Fighting Saints. Throw-in coming up for the team in red. Chilly night out there. Not as bad as it was yesterday. The women's soccer team for St. Francis was playing out here yesterday. The temperature was about the same. It was windy last night and very rainy. Today it's windy, but not nearly as bad as the big gusts of yesterday. Bruno Silva hits the ground for St. Francis. Yael Diaz goes down for St. Xavier. Both men are okay. They both get themselves back up. Today it's been chilly all day, but no rain. It was overcast all day too, but that no longer matters now that the sun has set. Foul called on St. Xavier just outside the penalty area, so it's not going to be a penalty kick here for the Fighting Saints, but we are going to see a free kick from not too far out. Only about 12 yards out to the right of the net. Kick will be taken by Aaron Razzo. A tough angle to score from, so we'll see if he tries to put it on the net or if he looks to set somebody up. It's a cross instead of a shot, and the header goes out of bounds off the head of William Morrell. So another good chance. St. Francis, in just 4 minutes this half, has been much more aggressive than they were for the entirety of the first half. But nothing to show for it. Still, they're playing well today. Team that fell to Judson here on this field on Saturday, 6-1. Snapped a 2-game home winning streak for the Saints. Cougars on the move, down towards the far corner. Cutting back to the middle of the field. There's a shot and a goal. First goal of the game comes 4 minutes and some change into the second half. It's Jaden Aguilera. 9th goal this season. And a nice individual effort right there from Aguilera. Breaks up this shutout. First time they've been able to slip one past Merlin Vanderveen. This game has been wide open in the second half, more so really than it was in the first. And that really comes from the fact that the Saints have been more aggressive offensively. That, I think, created a few more openings on the defensive side. St. Xavier took advantage of it. Aguilera sets it up again, passing back to Omar Aparicio. Along the sideline, it goes out of bounds. The throw-in will belong to the Fighting Saints. 50th minute goal for Jaden Aguilera. Saints look for a quick response. Nice move into the box. The shot and a good save by Martinez. Another close call for the Fighting Saints. And again, it was Benicio Gamino, the same guy who just missed in the first half. Just misses again here. Looks like there is an offsides call. So a free kick here for St. Xavier. Taken by Daniel Martinez. Down the far sideline, poked high into the air. Saints try to keep it in play. Headed towards the sideline by Yael Diaz and out of bounds. Throw in for the Saints. 1-0 they trail. 39 minutes to play in the game. Dylan Frank, who came in early in this game after Jack Brown went out with an injury. We have not seen Brown back on the field since then, so at the moment it looks like he's probably done for the day. Hard to say anything beyond today. Not going to get an update during this one. Into the box and smothered by Martinez. Gamino made another good run for it. Didn't get there on time, though. Martinez jumped in right at the edge of the box. Couldn't have come out another step further, but he was able to make the play. Here come the Cougars on the defensive end. Passed back up towards midfield and across midfield. Nobody there in red, so instead it's passed right back to Merlin Vanderveen. And Vanderveen launches it across the midfield stripe. Roger Valles tries to control it for St. Francis. It's passed ahead. Valles is not there, and so the Cougars let it go out of bounds. They'll stop here for an injury. That's Bruno Silva, who needs to do a little bit of stretching. He's back up and okay. Throw in for St. Xavier once we resume. Aiden Breslin tosses it in. Back on the defense for St. Francis. They clear it very quickly. Going back and forth on headers towards the far side of the field. Gamino tries to keep it alive for the Saints, and he gets tangled up with Saul Lagunas. And the ball is lost out of bounds to the Cougars. Senior day here in Joliet, last home game of the season for St. Francis. They close up the year with 2 straight on the road. Saturday and next Tuesday is their season closer. But today's the last home game of the year, trying to go out strong. Played a tough St. Xavier team to a tie through 45 minutes. The Cougars have scored early in the second half. Now on a free kick, St. Francis tries to respond. They haven't been able to score this half, but they've had a lot more going for them offensively. Trying right here, Gaudry fires a shot. It's high and out of bounds. St. Xavier will get a goal kick. A lot more offense this half from St. Francis, and that is certainly borne out in the stats. They only took 1 shot. No shots on goal in the entire first half. They've already taken 5 shots this half. So it's been a much different style of game for St. Francis since halftime, but it's not just those numbers. It's the fact that they've held the ball more often. Not nearly as many sustained attacks from St. Xavier, although one of the few that they had did get them their first goal of the game. Mentioned it's senior day. 7 seniors were honored before the game today, including Sergio Fernandez Arango. He's the only one that we've seen actually playing in the game. Saints haven't used too many seniors over the course of this season. Very young team. Nathan Sharp has appeared in a bunch of games. Eric Guzman very briefly. Most of these guys, though, Michael Guzman, Luis Seguizio, Carson Churchill, they haven't played at all. Carlos Garcia Martinez is a goalkeeper who has not seen any action this year. It's just been the two guys, Merlin Vanderveen and Elio De Janeiro, still all big parts of the program. Got honored before the day. Now a chance for St. Xavier to score. Mark Vitale Hull tries to set it up. Lost it on the first touch. Initially it was a one-on-one, but the rest of the defense got back in position, and now St. Xavier will try to make something happen, slowing things down a little bit. They go all the way back to the defensive side as their two back defenders look to restart the offense. Yael Diaz starts to dribble across midfield. Diaz making a big push down towards the corner, looking for Aiden Breslin. Breslin, the Western Illinois transfer, has it intercepted off the attempted cross. Here's Vitale Hull. His shot is blocked. Cougars get it back. And again, they go all the way back to the defense to restart it. Sebastian Palma passes off to his right, gets it right back. Into the middle, Saul Lagunas. Sent into the box, that's Aguilera taking a wild shot. Nowhere close that time as it sails way over the net. Goal kick for the Saints with 34 minutes exactly to play in the second half. If St. Francis wants to get even 1 point out of this game, they're going to have to do something that nobody has done against St. Xavier in a long time. That's score a goal. 5 consecutive shutouts for the Cougars coming into play today. Daniel Martinez is trying to make it 6 in a row, but he's had to withstand some pressure from St. Francis so far in this second half. Speaking of which, here's Jonathan Mendez all the way down to the back line, trying to keep it in bounds and can't. Not quite for Mendez that time. We'll get a goal kick. Kick is away into the midfield circle. Knocked by Benicio Gamino off to the left. St. Francis is able to take possession of it. Down in the corner, it's Gaudry. Gaudry looking for the cross. A shot from Velez and a great diving play made by Daniel Martinez. That looked good off the foot of Roger Velez, and it was on target. Martinez laid all the way out. Full extension, he pulled it in. That's a great save from Martinez. Hasn't had to make a lot of saves today, but when he's called on here, he maintains the shutout and the 1-goal lead for St. Xavier. Saints still at it. Pushed ahead to Velez. Velez going head-to-head with Yael Diaz. Possession won by the Saints. Into the box. Dribbling towards the back line. Pulling up. There's the shot, and it's blocked before it ever gets to the net. Saints get it back. They'll try it again. This time they take it a little bit more slowly from the midfield. Pushed ahead to Delazé. Here's Gamino passing back. St. Francis in no rush this time around. St. Xavier back in good position defensively, and they make a good defensive play. Slide tackle made by Francisco Espinoza to take it away. Breslin passes to his left. Mark Vitale, hole one touch. Tried to get it off to Lagunas. Saints didn't allow it. Pushed ahead, nobody there wearing St. Francis gold. Throw in for St. Xavier. One nothing Cougars. They scored just about 9 minutes ago. And the Saints have threatened that lead a couple of times since then. So they're not going down quietly tonight. We've been tied much more often than not in this game. But it is the home side trying to play catch up right now. Off the foot of Aguilera and out of bounds. It'll be a St. Francis throw on the far end of the field after they make a host of substitutions here. Esparza is coming back in. Jensen Eve returns to the field as well. Also into the game for the Saints is Samuel Arroyo. St. Xavier passes it off to the left. Pedro Guzman going back to the far side of the field. Pushed ahead. There's a shot, and it's a little bit wide. Out of bounds. Just missed it right there. It was Lagunas who took the shot. Pretty good position to double the lead. But he pushed it a little bit too far. St. Francis still alive in this one. Long way downfield. Down into the corner, Mendez keeps it alive. Mendez fighting hard against Christian Tamayo and ultimately loses it out of bounds, last touched by St. Xavier. Delaze tosses it in to Silva. Silva loses his footing. The ball goes off to Samuel Arroyo, who takes the shot, and right into the chest of Daniel Martinez, who makes another save. So Arroyo gets his name on the stat sheet quickly after checking in. A shot on goal, but Martinez makes the save. Here's Francisco Espinoza working it forward. Espinoza off to the left. It's Breslin. Aiden Breslin crosses over to his right around Jensen Eve. Passes to the middle of the field. Deflected. Still finds Lagunas. Lagunas has it poked away from him. Good defense by St. Francis' Armani Lagunas. Espinoza for St. Xavier. Rolls it off to the near side. Breslin's pass is intercepted. Armani Lagunas got in the way. Here's Sergio Fernandez Arango. Fighting Saints' leading scorer this year with 5 goals. Quiet as an offensive performer tonight. He's been playing on the back line. He's been doing that a lot lately. Listed on the roster as a forward. He's played a lot of forward over the years, but he's been playing defense a lot lately. 28 career goals for the senior, playing for the final time at Joliet Memorial Stadium. He takes that kick right down the middle of the pitch. Deflected back the other way by St. Xavier, and a foul is called on the Cougars. Free kick for St. Francis with 27 minutes to play in the game. Trailing 1-0. Kick will be taken by Max Gaudry. Just about 40 yards out. Gaudry goes short to Sergio Fernandez Arango. Chipped towards the net. Here comes Martinez to punch it away. The ball still loose in the box and cleared by Espinoza. A whistle after the play. don't know if that was a foul or if they called offsides against the Fighting Saints. Either way, it's a free kick for St. Xavier. Fernandez Arango, pass deflected, right back to him. Pass back behind him and intercepted, taken away by Saul Lagunas. Lagunas is challenged by Jensen Eve, who comes up with the stop. Good play by Eve. No damage done on that St. Xavier attack. This second half has been a completely different game from the first half. And the Saints played well in the first half, well enough to keep a 0-0 tie. But they have been much more aggressive in the second half. I don't know if St. Xavier's been more passive or if they've, since scoring their goal, just played a little bit more defensive-minded. But they were completely controlling possession time in the first half. Couldn't take the lead. Now they have the lead, but it feels like St. Francis is in control of the ball more often than not, and they've had a lot more opportunities. First half shot count was 13-1 in favor of St. Xavier. Second half is even. Out of bounds off the goal kick from Martinez. 5 shots for each side this half. Lobbed in, headed back the other way. Camacho for St. Xavier. Off to Lagunas, who rolls it over to the far sideline and gets it right back. Working with Jesse Cardiel. Pushed down to the near corner. It stays in bounds. Looked like it was going out for a second, and ultimately it does go out. But on the sideline, not the back line, last touched by St. Xavier, so it'll be a throw-in rather than a goal kick. Fired in down the sideline for Bruno Silva. Silva controls it, taps it ahead to Gaudry, and Gaudry pushes forward to Jonathan Mendez. Long run for Mendez. Can't get there before Cardiel, and Cardiel passes back towards his goalkeeper. Martinez sends it the other way for the Cougars. In fact, he sends it out of bounds. Tossed into Fernandez Arango. Passed off to Esparza, but Esparza can't get there. It's intercepted instead by Breslin. Pushed downfield and a foul called as Jaden Aguilera is shoved to the ground. 23.5 minutes to play. A yellow card is given to Armani Lagunas, who gave a push to Aguilera. And it sets up a free kick for St. Xavier, who leads 1-0. Almost halfway through this second half of the game. St. Xavier scored in the 50th minute, and they've been clutching that 1-0 lead ever since. Looking to make it 2-0. Breslin sends it too high. Out of bounds for a goal kick. Saints go to their bench. Nathan Sharp and Benicio Gamino come in. For Gamino, he's been out there most of the game. He's had some good scoring chances. So he returns after a quick rest. Nathan Sharp making his first appearance of the game. The senior who was honored before the game today. 25th career game as a Saint. And his final one here at home. St. Xavier tries to make a run, and a foul called on the Saints. More of an argument offered this time from William Morrell, who didn't think that he did enough to warrant the foul call there. Saul Camacho on the ground for St. Xavier. But the foul is called. Free kick for St. Xavier just outside the box. A little bit to the right of the net, 20 yards out. Two Saints are behind it. It'll either be Mark Vitale Hull or Jaden Aguilera to take the kick. It's Aguilera, and it is blocked by that wall of Saints defenders right in front of him. Nothing doing on that free kick. Cougars try it again. Back into the box to the back line. Deflected out of bounds. And we will have a corner kick here. There haven't been a lot of corner kicks in today's game. And when we have had them, they haven't led to anything, but we'll see if that's any different this time around. Jaden Aguilera has it set up. Saul Lagunas walks off to the bench. Pedro Guzman, the senior, comes in for him as Aguilera sends the kick in low and short. Deflected immediately by the Saints towards the sideline. Kept in bounds. A run at it. Won by St. Xavier initially, but taken away immediately by the Fighting Saints. And a good defensive tackle by the Cougars. Gives the ball back to them. So no chance at a breakaway there for the Fighting Saints. They will, however, get a throw in on the far end of the field. Cougars win possession again. Aguilera goes across the field to the streaking Camacho. Make that the streaking Guzman. Guzman is tripped up. And another yellow card given to St. Francis. That's 3 yellow cards now handed out to Fighting Saints during today's game. Another free kick coming up, 35 yards, dead center. For Jaden Aguilera, the only man to have scored in today's game. Achieved his 9th goal of the year back in the 50th minute, looking for another one here. A 2-bouncer right into the waiting hands of Merlin Vanderveen. Relatively easy save for Vanderveen. Saints slow things down a bit. Armani Lagunas now a deep kick ahead to Benicio Gamino. Gamino fights for possession, wins it. Down towards the corner, looking for the cross. It's deflected. Yael Diaz in his face the whole way. Not able to get a clean pass off. Under 20 minutes to play in the game. Here comes St. Xavier. Knocked loose. And cleared by the Fighting Saints. Here's Armani Lagunas. Lagunas looked for the deep pass. Instead, a lot of green space in front of him, so he takes it himself. Now tries to push it ahead to Antoine Esparza and can't hit him. So it's out of bounds. It's a throw in for St. Xavier from down in the corner. One to nothing, the Cougars lead. This is still anybody's game. Saints have had numerous opportunities to tie it up. Cougars have been able to come up with a stop each time. Fired in downfield right at Jensen Eve, who keeps it alive for St. Francis. Gaudry pressured from behind by Daniel Diaz, but he keeps it alive to the left. Fernandez Arango's ball, trying to get it inside, no good. Passed out to Esparza, and a foul called on St. Xavier. Antoine Esparza and Max Gaudry position the ball for a free kick. Looks like it'll be Gaudry to take it, but Esparza is there as well. And it is going to be Antoine Esparza who takes the kick to the backside of the net and deflected away instantly by St. Xavier. Cougars looking for a quick counterattack. Aguilera flies down the far sideline. Halted finally by St. Francis's defense. Saints unable to clear it. Aguilera gives it up to Camacho. Across the field and out of bounds. Jensen Eve steps in for the throw. William Morrell, freshman from England, kicks it across midfield. Saints try to set it up using their midfielders. Interception from St. Xavier. Headed by Morrell the other direction. Here's Bruno Silva against two St. Xavier defenders. Silva still has it and is able to get the pass away. Good play by Silva, but ultimately found Lagunas, and Camacho knocked it right away from him. Ball loose now, going back and forth. A lot of collisions going both ways, and finally play is stopped. And another yellow card is given to St. Francis. That's on Bruno Silva. That is the fourth yellow card of the game against the Fighting Saints. They're piling up. Silva's got a yellow card. Aaron Razzo picked one up earlier. Armani Lagunas has a card. Antoine Esparza was given a yellow card as well. Into the box, headed, knocked loose by St. Francis. Chased down by Rodrigo Hernandez of St. Xavier. The Cougars will get another shot at it. Out of bounds and staying St. Xavier's way. Tossed in. The shot is wide from Daniel Diaz. Goal kick coming up. Right off the throw-in, Diaz took a couple of dribbles. Looking for his first goal of the year. Couldn't get it. Was just his third shot this season. A guy who doesn't get a ton of opportunities, but has today. And couldn't double the lead. One more goal might put it away. It's not that there's not enough time for St. Francis to erase a 2-goal deficit. Still over 15 minutes to play, but man, would that be tough. For a team that doesn't score a lot, facing a team that, I don't even want to say they don't give up a lot of goals. They don't give up any goals. Not in a month anyway. So it's not that the Saints can't score on St. Xavier, but it's proven, obviously, to be very difficult. So to ask them to get 2 just for a tie would be a very tall order at this stage of the game. Down into the box. St. Francis still looking for 1 right now, and they're not going to get it here. As that through ball ends up going a little bit too far out in front of the intended target, out of bounds for a goal kick. Kick is away at midfield, headed into the air by Valles. Valles has control of the ball now. Lagunas back to Eve. St. Francis back on the defensive end. Go across field. This is William Morrell. No challenge from St. Xavier offensively right now, so St. Francis is just going back and forth with their defense. The Cougars will be happy to let them eat up time if that's what they want to do. As the Saints finally do try to make a move, that's when St. Xavier steps in, and they're able to come up with a stop. A quick one. Espinoza for SXU passes into the middle of the field. Now it's Diaz. Daniel Diaz rolls it off to his right. A move from Hernandez. Cross field to Breslin. Aiden Breslin fires the shot. It's off the back of Jensen Eve and deflected backwards. Breslin tracks it down, turns it upfield again, and can't turn the corner. He ends up rolling out of bounds. Throw in upcoming for St. Francis. Here's Armani Lagunas. Lagunas rolls it across midfield. Pass back to Eve. Saints again take their time setting this one up. Haven't gotten it across midfield yet. After a few dribbles, they do pass it across. Austin Delizé sends it back to the defense, and in fact even further back to Merlin Vanderveen, the goalkeeper. With under 13 minutes to play, Saints are trying to get it forward, and finally they do to Benicio Gamino. We'll see if Gamino can create something. Off to Lagunas, far side of the field. It's Delizé. Delizé looking for the entry pass, didn't have it. Headed back towards the sideline. It is in St. Francis's control. Chipped into the box, up into the air. A push towards the net, and Martinez falls on top of it. Sergio Fernandez Arango made the late run at it there. Tried to push it towards the net. Didn't get a clean shot off, but did send it in the direction of the goal. And Martinez, as has been the case all day and throughout most of this season, was able to make the play. Daniel Martinez came into play today with a .904 save percentage. Today it's 100. Hasn't faced a ton of shots on goal, but he made one save that was an absolute beauty. Diving play near the post that looked for a moment like it was going to tie the score just a few minutes after St. Xavier scored their goal. Tripped up. We're going to go down St. Xavier's way. Daniel Diaz hit the ground. Foul was called. Push deep downfield. Hernandez rolls to the right side. Taps it further out. Down into the corner. The cross is deflected out of bounds. We'll get a corner kick here after a St. Xavier substitution. Saul Lagunas is coming back in. And Lagunas, immediately after re-entering, is going to go down to the corner for a kick. Right in the middle of the field. A shot is a little bit wide. I think that the guy who took that was Yael Diaz. Pretty good position after the corner kick. He got a clean look, and he just yanked it a little to the left. Saints catch a break there, and now they're back on the attack, looking for the equalizer. Loose ball chased down by St. Xavier. Espinoza was able to get there a little bit before Eve could. Knocked out of bounds on the Cougars. Throw in coming up for St. Francis. Eve tosses it in behind him to Morel. Saints again being deliberate with their attack, but the cross-field pass is intercepted by Rodrigo Hernandez. Saints get it right back on a good challenge from Delizé, who's immediately pushed to the ground, and a yellow card is given to Rodrigo Hernandez. So after 4 yellow cards have been given to St. Francis, now 1 on St. Xavier as well. We're about to go under the 10-minute mark in today's game. Saints trying to keep their hopes alive here. They've got a free kick from the far side of the field. Sent in towards the edge of the box and immediately deflected the other way by Francisco Espinoza. Ball popped up into the air, bounces into the box. A chance for St. Francis looking for position. Gamino has the cross, and the first touch from Fernandez Arango goes out of bounds. Gamino was at a really difficult angle right near the end line. Still, I thought he might try to put one into the net himself, even from that awkward spot on the field. Instead, he passed across the goal, right in front of it, to Sergio Fernandez Arango, who was not able to get a clean shot off. One touch on it, and it went out of bounds. Headed at midfield by Nathan Sharp. Pushed ahead to Gamino, who makes a push for it, but the ball had a little bit too much speed on it and rolls back to Daniel Martinez. Here's Camacho for St. Xavier, passing off to his right. Espinoza runs into traffic, gives it up to Aiden Breslin. Breslin passes back into the midfield circle. Daniel Diaz, who had a shot a few minutes ago, off to Camacho. Good possession so far for St. Xavier's. They try to set up a game clincher. Or if nothing else, just run some more clock. Shorten the game for St. Francis. Headed by Diego Garcia. Back in control of St. Xavier. 8.5 minutes to play. To the sideline, it's Breslin. Breslin's pass nearly intercepted, but St. Xavier still has control. They're doing a great job right now just playing keep away. Tiring out the Saints, who are chasing them down, trying to get them to cough up possession. Haven't been able to do it. Finally, off that header, St. Francis does take it away, but only for a moment. Cougars are back in control. It's Camacho rolling it ahead. Sliding stop made by Morel down into the corner, and we've got a corner kick. Corner kick coming up for St. Xavier after both teams make a substitution. Saul Lagunas has the ball set for the corner kick. Goes right past everybody to the backside of the field. Chased down by Daniel Diaz, and St. Xavier goes right back to work. Diaz is tripped on the play by Nathan Sharp. Foul called. Cougars get a free kick. They're not making a substitution, so the clock doesn't stop. That means they get a chance to run a few extra seconds, which they did before Diaz put the ball back in play. A foul called on Diaz. He tripped up the Saints' Mason Moroz on that play. Moroz, who just checked in, getting his first action of the game. Merlin Vanderveen steps way up, kicks it downfield a little bit over the head of Pierre Langenhusen. Headed by Moroz, back in the direction of Langenhusen. Saints can't keep possession, though. Taken away by Espinoza. Francisco Espinoza pushes off to his right. Good run for the Cougars here. Mark Vitale Hull passes ahead. Now it's Daniel Diaz. Diaz right down the center of the field. Runs into a defender and passes off to his right. Good challenge by the Saints. Delaze tried to take it away but couldn't. Just threw him off the mark a little bit. Into the box. Knocked away. Loose at the edge of that box and cleared by the Fighting Saints. Back into a sea of red shirts, though. 6 Cougars around the ball, only 2 Saints. And so St. Xavier easily wins possession. Good interception right there, though. Out of bounds for a St. Francis throw. Saints are running out of time to make a move. They've got just 5.5 minutes here. And they're going through a stretch where they really haven't had the ball for the last 3 or 4 minutes. And it's been giving us a good idea of just how quickly that time can run off the clock when you're not creating chances. So the Saints will have to step it up a little bit over the next couple minutes. Far side of the field, pushed up the sideline by the Saints, but out of bounds. Throw in for Jesse Cardiel. And a foul is called on St. Francis. Lagunas is down for SXU. And he'll milk it long enough to get the clock stopped. So 4:38 to play. St. Francis trying to hang around for one last push. St. Xavier looking to wrap up a victory and keep themselves in the running for a conference championship. It's going to be tough to beat Olivet Nazarene, who has not lost this year in conference, a perfect 7-0. But St. Xavier could potentially still do it. Not if they don't win today. So this 1-goal lead they're trying to protect is of vital importance. Kick is taken by Vitaly Hull and headed away. See if St. Francis can make a counter push here. Long run for Pierre Langenhusen. Can't get to it. Instead, it's taken by Yael Diaz. St. Xavier is hosting Olivet next Tuesday. That'll be their next game. They're not playing this weekend. So that's a major showdown if they win this, if they hold on for 4 more minutes. St. Francis is trying to get a point out of this. 3 points is not completely out of the question, but it's pretty tough at this point. Scored 2 goals in the final 3+ minutes, but if they can get 1, they can put themselves in good position for 8th place. That ball is crossed in front of the net and nobody there on the receiving end. Goal kick coming up for the Cougars. St. Francis came into play today, ranked 8th in the CCAC. Trying to buy themselves an extra game or 2 in the conference tournament, which is set to begin in just about 2 weeks. Out of bounds. That throw-in is going to belong to St. Xavier. Saints are in a tight race with St. Ambrose right now for the 8th spot. They did lose to St. Ambrose when they went head-to-head. Lagunas passes off to his right. Here's Camacho on the run. Into the box and cleared by the Saints. Still to come on the St. Francis schedule this year after today. They close up the season on the road. They are at Viterbo and they are at Indiana Northwest. And the Viterbo in particular is going to be a really tough one this weekend. Indiana Northwest currently is just behind St. Francis in the standings. So those are both big games. Every game is a big one as they try to get some late points at the end of the CCAC season. The Viterbo game is a big one because it's such a tough opponent. Indiana Northwest is a big one because they're neck and neck in the conference standings. Under 2 minutes to play. Fighting Saints try to make a push. Headed up into the air. Mason Morose tracks it down and doesn't have anybody else there to give it to. Here's Jensen Eve. Tried to get it to Benicio Gamino, but couldn't. Instead, it's won by the Cougars on the sideline. Downfield for Diego Garcia. Garcia stays on sides. Dribbles it down into the corner. And all the way out of bounds. It is a throw-in. So Garcia did his job, running a few seconds off the clock, forcing a throw-in, and now a shot and a goal for St. Xavier. And that should put it away. Pedro Guzman comes streaking in. Sloppy pass from St. Francis. There were no defenders in his way. Guzman just came flying in from the backside of the play and pushed it in with 1 minute and 7 seconds left. That makes it a 2-0 score in favor of St. Xavier. They have been in total control the last 10 minutes. You can make an argument they've been in control for most, if not all, of the game. But really, the last 10 minutes or so, they just have not given the ball up. After the first 35 minutes of this second half were played pretty evenly. So it's 2-0 St. Xavier. One last push from them. It's Diego Garcia again. Garcia takes a dribble to his right. He fires a shot. It is wide to the right and out of bounds. And was that one deflected? We're going to get a corner kick out of this. The goal was actually credited to Mark Vitale-Hull, which is his 6th of the year. St. Xavier will take one final corner kick here and then wrap it up. They're in the corner, not really trying to move out of it. And finally out of bounds with 10 seconds to play. St. Francis takes one big kick across midfield, and that will do it. 2-0, our final score today. St. Xavier comes to Joliet and defeats St. Francis. They notched their 6th consecutive shutout. It is the 4th consecutive victory for St. Xavier. And this was a tight one. It was scoreless at halftime. In the second half, pretty early on, they were able to get a goal on the board. It was the 50th minute, and it was a good individual play by Jaden Aguilera, setting himself up and putting it past Merlin Vanderveen, who had a good game overall. But that one goal was enough to deliver St. Xavier the win. They did add one more. It came in the 89th minute, the very end of play. Mark Vitale-Hull scores his 6th of the year after Aguilera scored his 9th of the season, and that made the final score 2-0. It was a close game throughout. St. Xavier did, though, dominate statistically, 26 shots compared to 8, 10 shots on goal to 2. Merlin Vanderveen made 8 saves today. Daniel Martinez made 2 saves. For Vanderveen, despite taking the loss, he did play well. He was averaging about 4 saves per game this year when he's been out there, and he had 8 of them today. So not a bad performance from him, but not good enough to get the victory as St. Xavier picks up a 2-0 win. They improve to 11-3-2, 6-1-1 in conference. St. Francis falls to 2-10-1, 2-6 in the conference as they lose their 4th straight. They're at Viterbo coming up next this weekend. Just 2 games left on the schedule for the Fighting Saints. Today wraps up their home season. So this game comes to a close again, 2-0, our final score. St. Xavier comes away with the victory. That'll do it for me. Thanks for tuning in as the Saints fall in their home finale. Until next time, Terry Bonadonna signing off from Joliet, Illinois. Enjoy the rest of your night.